everyone, I'm Hillary with Dominion Tea, and today we're going to talk about tisanes. That's a French term for a tea-like drink without tea. In the US, we call them herbals. So we're going to pull apart a couple of our herbals, show you their ingredients, and talk about why we chose the ones we chose, and have some fun taking a look at just exactly what they do to a tea blend.
So let's start with a very common ingredient in herbal teas in the US, and this is the beautiful flower, otherwise known as chamomile. So why chamomile? It's been around in the US for a very long time and used as an herbal. You'll notice it's very floral scent. It brews yellow. What's interesting though is the mouthfeel is kind of clean until you get to the very end of kind of where you swallow, and you get kind of a sticky sensation. So a lot of times with the chamomile, it's actually been blended with something like lemon verbena or lemon myrtle to soften that finish or that end of mouthfeel with this type of ingredient. Our next floral is actually lavender. Notice how beautifully purple it can brew by itself. Now you rarely get to see this in kind of its full color because lavender is very often blended in with other ingredients, and so it's usually faded with that blending. But what's nice about the lavender, it's going to have a little bit slicker mouthfeel because of the lavender oil coming out of the flower buds as it brews. And so unlike the chamomile, it actually has a smoother finish and that very nice floral scent. There are several ingredients you can turn to when you want to sweeten a tea without using sugar. The first one here is the good old goji berry. So it's going to leave a kind of a clean finish, which is nice if you're needing to work with lighter ingredients, but give it a sweetness. The next step is licorice root. Now licorice root, unlike goji berry, is going to stick in your mouth and stick to your tongue. So what happens is that this ingredient usually is going to get blended in with a heavier black tea. And so part of using licorice root is knowing that, a little goes a very long way. Last one, of course, but one that is around quite a bit, is raspberry leaf. So raspberry leaf almost cuts in the middle between goji berries and licorice root. It's going to give a sweetness, a little bit of a mouthfeel, not like the stickiness of licorice root, but just enough that it will play nicely with our floral ingredients like lavender and chamomile. So we start with lemon myrtle. So lemon myrtle brews an absolutely beautiful yellow, but what's amazing about this ingredient is it releases also an oil, which gives it a very nice kind of full mouthfeel and a smooth finish, which makes it a great addition to a lot of teas, especially ones that are a little bit heavier on the tannic acid, because it will smooth that out. In the middle, of course, is very vibrant hibiscus, and it turns absolutely everything pink. Now, this is a very tart tea and a tart ingredient, and so usually it gets blended with one of our earlier sweeteners or a softer ingredient like green tea to help smooth out that tartness and that finish on the end. So our last guy here is beautiful blue butterfly. So this comes out of China. Now, why would we use this? It has everything to do with the color and not the flavor. Now, the Chinese use this in herbal medicine. I will tell you, if you drink it straight, which you absolutely can, it's going to taste a lot like steamed spinach. But what we use it for is to give a little blue tint to our Chinese blueberry. Now, this is in such concentration, I couldn't get the trick to work on camera, but in a lighter concentration, you can squeeze a lemon into it and have it go from blue to green, which is a lot of fun. So the blue butterfly has a range of colors, and it absolutely depends on the concentration at which you brew it at. So here's a good shot of what we did is we took out what had been brewed, put in the lemon, and it drops it to a beautiful purple. So we've brewed a slightly even lighter concentration. The idea is you're not going to use more than probably one flower per 4 to 5 ounces of water or liquid. Most of the time you're going to find these in cocktails more than you're going to find it in tea, to help you get kind of that different color and to help it to go that lighter green. So you can kind of see in here that light purple, and with a little bit more lemon, it will eventually go to a beautiful green. Usually, not always, you just got to get the right balance. But the response to the citrus is all based off of the chemical compounds in the flower. So it's actually kind of a fun one to play with. So when we want to start to add flavor to a tea, specifically spice, fennel is a fun one to add in. Most people think of fennel usually around the holiday season here in the US. It does have a little bit of a spicy kick. What's funny is when you're not eating it and brewing it, that smooths out a little bit. But there's still enough residual spice to it that it actually plays really well with other ingredients without overpowering it. Lemongrass is another one that gets blended into a lot of herbals, mainly because of that lemon flavor. But unlike lemon myrtle, it's got a cleaner mouthfeel and a slightly sweet finish by itself. So it's a little bit easier to blend with other ingredients and not have it overpower the blend. And of course, you can't talk about herbals without talking about peppermint. And so peppermint, as you notice, brews darker than a lot of things. And much like lavender, less is more. It's a very powerful plant, and it will take over a blend. And sometimes that's okay if you want a mint blend. But if you're trying to add a slight body to the blend, you can actually add a little bit of mint to it without overpowering the rest of the flavor profile of the blend. So it's a very versatile plant and very useful in the world of tisanes.